We live, we live. What's up, everybody? It's been a minute since we went live. How are we doing, man? Everybody, welcome back. Please take the time to share this. I went live a few minutes ago, but my sound was a little screwed up, so I had to go take care of that. Mic check. We should be good now. I'll play a couple quick little intro clips. Give me time to share this, man. We're going to talk about it. The Westerly High School, crazy mess. Where do we go wrong? Where do we go from here? What is the future? This is just crazy, but give me a minute. Take the time to share this.
That is, if you haven't been over there. First person to call in right now at 401-322-9091. I'll give you a 20.
So 46 degrees, 7:25 in the morning. Mike Gridiron Rebello is with us, but you know,
Have a good day, buddy.
All right,
God bless.
Well, just want to let you know I'm Boston Red Sox fan. I shouldn't tell her that I'm a New York Yankee fan. Now, and if you wear that costume, you'll get a $100 Visa gift card on top of them matching your down payment up to $2,000. Central Auto Group in Plainfield.
Can we lend me the down payment?
Well, if the down.
I'm just impressed with this. 29 degrees, 7:29 in the morning. Mike, if I know our schedule right, you've got 1 minute.
1 minute. Hey, that's all I need, right?
All right.
I'm going to give you a pair of tickets for the Block Island Ferry.
And things were going well over there at St. Caius, I assume. He's going to be over there at 11, and he might be making an appearance downtown here today, too. We also have hay rides.
Mark Rosenthal is at an undisclosed location for Look at Your Forecast. Then after that, we'll get back to Frank Prosnitz, Ken, and Mikey Rebello over there, because on the phone we have Ryan McCormick, the head coach for football, if I got that correct. Exactly what I was going to say. But he's over there at UMass Dartmouth. And Wilson, I'm sorry, I forgot Wilson. Wilson's also joining us as well. And we have sports coming up. Stay tuned. And an additional 15% off. I got to get going because I got to get up there.
Buying a freshman, sophomore mixed.
What the hell's wrong with people around here? My God.
Are you ready to move to North Carolina? Do you know how Chris feels about this?
No, but really, why?
Good morning, Wesley. This is Fulton Cyclone Clear, Jeff City, WFQ. Ow!
All right, I approve. Good job.
My man Chris DiPaolo, man, rest in peace. Sometimes I think that I could still pick up the phone and give him a call, man. What's going on, everybody, man? It's a little bright. Sunglasses are on because of the light, not because I'm trying to be cool, because you don't wear sunglasses in the house, right? That's what they say, man. Crazy shit's going on. How do we get here? Crazy. And it's not only in Wesley. Like, this is happening all too much. I read that there were 14,938 incidents of sexual assaults in school in the last calendar year. And then they compared it with 9,649 to the year before, a 50% increase since we came back from COVID. And this is, a lot of adult on student assaults, and a lot of people take the age of consent and they get it twisted. It's just wrong. It's just, it's just not right. We're going to talk a little bit about that, take the time to share this. It's been a while since we've been on here. When I first heard about this situation at Westerly High School, it's funny because a month or so ago, someone said, did you hear that there's a situation at the school going on with so-and-so and a student? And I was like, nah, that can't be right. We would have heard more about that. And then I kind of let it go. Didn't pay much attention to it again. And then I hear when it's starting to go around, people are sending me some memes from Snapchat, and they're like, yo, did you hear about the dude at Westerly dating the student? And I was like, huh, for real? And I was like, this is like, I would have heard about this. This is crazy. This is crazy. Like, and then I start hearing, and then I start seeing posts on social media. And it's crazy because I knew more about the student. I knew more about the student than I did about the so-called, I'm hearing it's a teacher. I know more about the student than I do about the teacher. And it's like, it took me like a day or two to actually find out who. I'm going to just say, I mean, I know he's a staff member, and I know the superintendent said he had no authority over students, but I call false on that, and we're going to get into that, talking about the restorative justice coach, what the coach does and stuff, and how much free roam a restorative justice coach has. But then I start hearing, I see these horrible videos going around on social media that I would never share. And I was like, wow, this is really true. And then so I wait, I don't see anything on the media, and we know the Westerly Sun kind of does what they're told to do. They print what they're supposed to print. Same thing as a lot of other local media sources. I'm not a journalist. I didn't go to school for this. I just decided, sometimes we got to let the people know what others won't tell them. And I always told the truth. I always stayed pretty transparent. I always had the student's best interest. And a lot of people will tell you that. And that, so I see this situation, and I'm thinking, all right, how old is this kid? Maybe he's young. That, oh, wow, late 30s. This is crazy. It's crazy. And then 2 days go by, and it's still hard to find out who it was. And then we finally find out who it was, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm sure the police will be making an arrest anytime now. If this is the situation, if this is what it is, if this is what happened. And you're free to leave a comment or anything. But this is the situation. And I was kind of like, all right, well, the police should anytime be making an arrest. The police anytime should be making, and then no, nothing. And then you hear that there might possibly not even be an arrest. And it's like, wait a minute. Oh, age of consent. And I'm like, does this open the door for other teachers, for other people that work in the school department to do it, to say, hey, if I ain't going to get arrested, I mean, I don't see, there's no excuse. And I always thought that if you was in a position of authority, I'm not a lawyer. I don't usually get into this political stuff because when I do try, I get my ass kicked. I get my ass handed. So I don't really get into this political stuff. And that's why I always stuck to sports. You see me interviewing, Coach Dunbar when he was here, Coach Wes Pennington, shout out to him, Mike Washington, Cliff Fulton, Jeff Piver, the Coventry coach, and don't be surprised. This goes on at Coventry as well. It ain't only here. We're going to get into that another day. But when I hear that no charges and this law, and I always thought that if you was in a position of authority, then you held a greater responsibility to the kids. And I also know that a restorative coach's job basically is to restore justice in the school, is to be a role model, be a supervisor. I know that they give him a set of keys to the whole building. I remember when he was hired last season, he was hired with another coach, not to be named, that's no longer with the school for no bad reasons. He just couldn't. I don't think he could afford to stay at that position, raising a family at what they pay. So I remember what they did, and basically this particular restorative coach that got fired, his job was to sit in on detention. He would sit in on suspension. And I remember a few years back when the kids went to Westerly High School, kids could go to restore class. They could come and go at free will. I heard of kids being sent there because they're in inappropriate clothing and the school can't deny this because these are inappropriate clothing. So they would send them to that class until their parents would bring up a change of clothing, or maybe they would go to the school store to put on something proper. Maybe a kid saying, I'm stressed out, I want to go to the restore room. So kids could come and go to the restores class at will. Also detention. So there's plenty of time. And they have the keys to the building. They have the roam of the building. I know Miss Trudy's a restore coach. Shout out to her. Does a very, very good job. So I could see plenty of opportunity where something like this could happen. And then we find out that the superintendent puts out his email that read, on Friday last week, the administration was made aware of concerning behavior involving a male Westerly High School staff member directed at a Westerly High School student. Upon learning of this, Westerly PD, the AG's office, were contacted and engaged. As a matter involves issues of student privacy, as personal issues, and is still being actively investigated. Both the district, law enforcement, we can share little more than what appears to be at this time. So what they do, they went and gave Daddy a job. Age of consent, as was explained to me, has changed in Rhode Island. 30 months older is a felony charge. Governor signed a few months back. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Age of consent is a big issue. And I don't care. I think if you do something with a minor, that's it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You do something with a minor, it's just horrible. It's out of pocket. I mean, you as an adult should know better. I spoke with a female worker at Westerly High School, not to be named, and they said, I am appalled that this behavior is going on and that no one has been arrested and that his daddy was offered a job. And we'll get to that in a minute. I'm appalled. And the craziest thing is we have no principal, no supervision here. And I'm like, wait a minute, no supervision. So she's saying, I know some of these girls, they suffer anxiety. Some of them are depression. Some of them are on medication. And for something like this to happen, more needs to be done. And then we find out that his dad, a lot of people know him, Jim Morano, around town, the Morano name, Sal Morano, WBLQ, Rhode Island Football Hall of Fame. The Morano name. Greg Morano does the Westerly Lies broadcast of the Westerly Bulldogs football games. You could definitely. So, the Morano, everybody knows the Moranos. Oh, shout out to the New York system. We got the New York system cup. Shout out to them. Definitely go down there and check them out. So everybody knows who the Moranos are. And we all know the crazy rumors surrounding that, And then we find out that, and if you see at the bottom of the screen, it talks about, it talks about a few things. And then we find out that, and I'm trying to carefully word this, because I don't want to offend anybody or insult anybody. And then we find out that his dad's going to be the next principal. And then we find out that we have not had a principal since when was it? How long ago? Like, we have not had a principal, and Mr. Hoven's been going for how long? And that this decision was made. And I always thought you needed a school committee's vote to place a new principal. And I was told that there is no vote slated, and there was no vote for this. So I was like, So now we know what the private meeting was last week or 2 weeks ago, or whenever the private meeting took place with the superintendent and a former superintendent. Because we knew there was a private meeting that took place. And it's crazy because a private meeting takes place of a father of a person of interest inside the school department. And then we find out that Mr. Jim Morano, who probably is getting a nice pension, making good money, being retired, is going to be the next principal, just like that. So it kind of makes you like read between the lines that like, what did the superintendent really, how do you come up with this? I know we got local teachers that been laid off from school, like teachers that live in this town that been laid off from work for a long time. And I'm sure that there's principals, that also been laid off from work. And another question that I think you have to ask is like the money situation. How much of that played into it? But before we get to that, I mean, naming a relative of an employee of the school department that resigned or was fired for having an alleged relationship with a student. And then we find out it's the son of somebody that we hear some crazy rumors about, with also a ton of inappropriate transgressions. Regardless of what the restorative coach was fired for, naming his father, someone that's under a criminal investigation, have his father now as the principal of the school, I think it's just inappropriate. What if there's other girls that want to come forward in the next, say if it's in the next 2 months, if these girls want to come forward and they have to look at the father of the man. I mean, he's been here a year and a half. Been here that long. I mean, so it's not like we don't know this has happened before. I mean, he's still under criminal investigation by the Westerly PD. So we're going to name a relative of the behavior intervention coach. Whether he resigned or he was fired, doesn't matter. I mean, if they even let him resign, but is that what originally a lot of us thought that's what the meeting was for, with the former superintendent and the current superintendent. I mean, Principal Hoban, what? He left April 6th. April 6th. Jim Morano does not come on board, interim principal, until May 3rd. Are these dates right? And this was all to fit Mr. Morano's personal schedule. Now, Mr. Hoban said he's going to stay on board as what? As an advisor, because he probably didn't want to deal with this mess. Who the hell would? So what? Mr. Cronin and Mrs. Sweet was not capable of filling the position. So Mr. Morano's salary, what is it going to be? Mr. Hoban, is it going to be per diem? That's what it said. Is it going to be per diem of what Mr. Hoban was making? And according to the numbers that I was sent, it's about $30,000 for 2 months of work. I mean, you really got to say, when someone has enough political pull to get something like that, to get 30 grand for 2 months, that's crazy. My problem is why haven't anyone calling for Garceau's resignation? This is the second incident in 2 years, so he's just absorbed any responsibility. He's a superintendent, and I think they're talking about the Luppy situation. You all know what that was about, but but just the situation that we have a man inside the school that has the free roam to do this, and a lot of people are saying that Jim Morano is a great guy. Oh, he's done many great things. He's been a great teacher. He's been a great principal. Him and the vice principal got along great. But we're not talking about this guy's awards. We're not talking about his accolades. I don't care if he was a Nobel Peace Prize. Just things that he's been named to do in his past, some of his transgressions, kind of makes him unfit to be a principal. And not only that, to be the father of somebody that's named in a criminal investigation, I mean, he should just do the right thing and step down. And, I'm sure there's people ain't going to like, I seen the comments, but come on now. A lot of the comments of people that are probably close to Mr. Morano. $15,000 a month for a sub. Is that what we're doing here? Sign me up for that. And I probably know a bunch of other retired principals that will be like, sign me up. Tommy Mezzanani will drive his McLaren Mercedes for $15,000 a month all the way to Westerly. But where do you have the father of someone that's being investigated for an alleged crime take over that school? Is this not like an episode out of Dynasty? And I know a lot of people are like, yo, Mike, but he's a good dude. And he's a real, and he knows Westerly. Like, you don't need to know Westerly to be a principal of a school. So let me ask you. The last few months, where has anybody been? Has the school been, on co-pilot? Has the school been running on co-pilot for the last few months? Is the assistant principal suite running things during the last couple of weeks, or is Westerly High School just on co-pilot? And we probably all know why Hoban's staying on as an advisor, because he feels responsible. He don't want to leave these kids behind. He knows what he's leaving them with. He's like, oh my God. He comes from Coventry, which is same type of mess. A superintendent and the union lady over there. Oh my God. You know what I mean? And let's not talk about the principal and the athletic director. But when you have the political juice to get these jobs, to get these gigs, so I don't care if you're a damn Nobel Peace Prize, you have some indiscretion that kind of makes you unfit to be a principal, man, to be a leader. And people say, yeah, but what is, and I asked a question the other day that said, are you responsible for your adult son? Hell friggin' yes, I'm responsible for my adult son. I'm responsible for all my kids. My adult son makes a decision today to hurt a man, and that man cannot feed his family anymore. I feel it's my responsibility to help that man feed his family. And if my son watched me do bad all my life, and he goes and does bad, I would feel some responsibility too. But I think it's just wrong to have it's wrong to have the father of someone that is in the middle of an investigation take over the school where he is accused of doing wrongdoings. And a lot of people say, what does the father have to do with the son? You know, the father has a lot to do with the son. It's just wrong. Nobody is seeing how wrong it is for someone to be investigated for a crime. And then the dad is going to take over. And even if this was something that was conceived a long time ago, he should still reconsider and do the right thing and say, you know what, maybe I should step aside. Maybe I should do what's right. We're going to play this quick little video. Be right back.
Kavanaugh of assaulting them at parties were just teenagers at the time. Kavanaugh was a teenager too. Last year, the Department of Education investigated 150 claims of sexual violence at elementary and high schools, a jump of more than 500% from just 3 years before. Changing that may require changing students' attitudes. In Illinois, teachers with a publicly funded nonprofit are going class to class.
We're at a high school in South Chicago where they've started a program called What's Up with Manhood, where they're essentially trying to open up a discussion about sexual consent and trying to teach consent from as young an age as possible. Luciano Merlin and Cordero Lewis are community educators working with mostly 14 and 15-year-old boys.
How do you all define consent?
I feel like it's not that simple. I feel like girls like to work their way like around what they want you to know, and like what guys is straight up.
What is so hard with waiting to hear yes we can or no we can't?
It's not hard. It's just that like in a moment it'll be awkward to interrupt and like say something like that. So if they going along with it, then you know it's a yes. But if they like stopping you, then you know it's a no, then you stop.
So silence is a yes.
No. Silence.
Not in all cases.
Silence could work.
Okay, not in all cases.
Is it confusing where that line of consent falls?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it can be.
Why is it so confusing?
You're not always sure about what they're gonna say until they actually say it.
If she says yes and you can see that in her eyes, like you can notice that. Like if you know her, you can see that.
What does it look like in her eyes when it's a yes?
Yes, please show us. I want to see what that looks like.
Show me what yes bedroom eyes look like.
You get that vibe, like you know what she's trying to say, but she still tells you something else. You know, she's trying to say yes, but you can see like her body language, like we're all talking about. Like she's saying no, basically. And sometimes the guy just wants to take advantage of that. Oh, she said yeah, so it's a yeah.
What I kind of want to get into is the concern of
Okay. I just want to play that quick little clip. I wanted to look at a couple comments here and read somebody. What did he say? Oh yeah, and also when it came up about somebody left a comment. They said they used to call Jim Morano Soapy. I'm like, Soapy? Well, he would take showers with the gym class, and I was like, whoa, that's kind of a little weird. But they was like, well, you know, you got to think of the time. It was a different time in our country, and back then maybe it wasn't weird then. You know, but somebody said, you know, why do you don't think he's good to be principal at this point? I said, I just think it's weird timing with his son being under investigation. With his son being under investigation, I just don't think that it's probably a good idea right now. I mean, it's sweet that he's going to get, you know, a quick 30 grand. You know what I mean? And you know, so people were trying to ask me not to do this podcast today, you know, and a money figure came up, you know what I mean? And And they said a number, and I was like, all right, give me 500. You know what I mean? But I didn't hear back. But, I ain't going to sell out. But I'm just saying, I don't care how good your record is, how much good you've done. I always been transparent about my past, man. It's being held against me forever. They hold this shit against you forever. You know what I mean? So no matter how much good someone does, when they have a shady background going back 30 years, and it was like, yeah, but, what he did 30 years ago, his infidelities, he was only 3 times. I mean, that's about character. I mean, but the character issues happened 30 years ago. Dude, you hear what you're saying. All these character issues, happen inside the Westerly High School. And now his son is accused of something similar inside Westerly High School. And then they said, yeah, but the other people, but Jimmy Marano's situation, they were all consenting adults. Totally different. And I'm like looking at him like kind of like weird, because I've been married 21 years and that's sacred, right? Like, to think that not once, not twice, but 3 times. If you was unfaithful in this situation, if you was unethical here, what made, you're gonna be like, things like that don't change. And I think of how sacred your bond is between a husband and wife, and you have a lot of things, throughout your life, good, the bad, but what right is right, man. To be a principal, you should be a leader. And any transgressions allegedly of any kind of anything in sexual nature, man, I just can't say you're a good leader. And we have to read between the lines, Garceau, where do you come in all this? How did this whole situation come to play? I mean, exactly. A man with a family connected to the employee who was the subject of an investigation. See, I got no issues with Jim Marano, man. You know what? I mean, a lot of people that I know respect you, a legend, but come on, let's face it, man. Your son is involved in some shady stuff, and it's not really appropriate for you to be principal at this time. What if there's other people that want to come forward? I mean, he was there 1.5 years. You know what I mean? And there was plenty of time from the time that Hoban left till now that we could have handled all of this. So, but anyway, let me see. They said, what happened after the Spanish teacher? What Spanish teacher? What happened after what Spanish teacher? You lost me on that one. I'm just wondering. I remember about 1 year ago, if this was someone else, if this was a coach if this was a man of different race, right? Would he be arrested if this was a black guy? If this was a black guy and the same situation happened and he was the restorative coach, would he be arrested? You don't have to have experience to be a principal in Westerly, to be a principal in Westerly. And I understand that nothing he did was criminal, but when you have integrity issues, I mean, forget the integrity issues. The biggest issue is his son is being looked at in the criminal investigation, right? That pretty much has family political ties all the way up the ladder, right? The Morano family runs deep, right? We know that. Is it right for him to be the principal at this time, even if it is for 2 months? Yeah, 15 grand a month. Hey, can't hate him for that. But there are a lot of questionable things in his past that you say in this day of age, will he be a good principal? How would another 16-year-old girl feeling going to sit in his office, sitting down? Oh, Mr. Morano, I like to talk to you. And the girl has to explain to him that she had an encounter being sexually assaulted, or maybe something happened to her in the past, or maybe another student comes and wants to say, this happened to me. Wouldn't they feel uncomfortable? And we heard that there was going to be no discipline to the student. And then I hear that the student is being transferred out of the district. Is that punishment right there where you can't go to school with your peers? Maybe it's something the student wants, but Catholic schools and public schools, not too far off. When I'm seeing that there was 14,938 incidents of sexual violence in K-12 schools. A 55% increase since the pandemic got over. That has incidents of the R word, the sexual assault. Number of incidents jumped much higher. How many incidents are not even reported? And this isn't just a Westerly High School problem. I already hinted on that there's a situation in Coventry. So I understand that the rumors about him was with other consenting adults. It says big difference between another 35-year-old adult and a 16-year-old girl. Plus it is his stepson. 30 years kind of constitute you as my son, right? Like I wouldn't consider my stepson. That's my son. He said he may not even like the kid. He said he probably don't even like his son. I'm not sure if he didn't have any part of his upbringing, from like if this happened 30 years ago, I'm not sure of the timeline of his marital situations, but I just don't think he's fit to be the principal right now. But I definitely thought that we needed to talk about this, especially, it's inside a school. There are kids involved, and how do we know that this is the first incidents? How do we know that this hasn't happened before? And it sucks to see Mr. Hoban leave. I rocked with Mr. Hoban since he's been here. But now he goes where? Rhode Island Department of Education. Now, I reached out to the school committee. What did they say? Let me see. A member of the school committee, which I ain't going to name. I never name. School committee found out through an email about Morano being named principal. We do not have a vote on the hiring of a principal. We have not met since the announcement last week. Our next meeting is April 5th. Not sure whether or not we will be discussing any of it. It's up to the chair to put it on the agenda. So, Rob Salino, we are challenging you to put this on the agenda. Not sure if you can, but put this on the agenda. Rob Salino. So there is no vote on the hiring of a principal. The powers of the school committee have been lessened due to state laws that have been passed. They didn't even vote on the hiring of the middle school principal. Wasn't the old middle school principal also, what was that, former Paula Fusco, right? She worked closely with Jim Morano, I think I seen. Yeah, I think they worked very, very closely. They did not vote on the hiring of the middle school principal. The superintendent hires his direct reports. The only employee that we have to say over is the superintendent. All right, can we get him up out of here? I mean, a few things happen on this guy's watch. You know that, right? How many things that we didn't talk about? And the school district attorney. But shout out to the school committee people over there, you know, what they have to go through. Let me see, what else do I have up here? The gap between Hoban leaving and Morano starting would be covered as if he were absent due to illness or for some other reason by the administration team in place and the superintendent. There was also a full week of April vacation during that time. The public schools are seemingly like the Catholic Church. Thank you for saying that. Some people are trying to separate the issues of hiring Morano and hiring the father-in-law of the employee who's under police investigation. I just don't think you can do that in this case. He may have been a great educator and principal, but he should not be in charge of a school where the victim of his son-in-law goes. Ooh, strong words. Talk about that, huh? He shouldn't be the principal of the school of the victim where his son-in-law goes. That's deep right there. I was just reading some comments that are on some other platforms. But what do y'all think about this? You know, we're just coming back. We've been on 40-something minutes, you know, so is Jim Morano going to be the principal of Westerly? I say, like, Cronin and Sweet handle it 2 months. They got this. I mean, they've been doing a good job already. Or is nobody piloting the ship? Let me know what y'all think about that. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more. Oh, no, hang on. There's going to be a lot more. I'm just trying to get this up before I let you go. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more coming up on this situation. You know, so basically, yeah, the restorative justice, you know, they pretty much have the run of the building. He sits in with the in-school suspension kids. He sits in with the detention, with the after school, you know, so there's plenty. Let's see. Is it scrolling at the bottom? The last comment we put at the bottom of the screen. All right, hold on. Here we go. There it is. There it is. There it is. My bad. My bad. It's been a minute. Got to fix a couple things. But, yes, what do y'all think about this? Mr. Hoban's out. Is Morano in? And I mean, it is. It's just it's not appropriate. I don't think for the stepfather, the father. Should he be in charge of the school where the victim of his son goes? The victim or his stepson goes, whatever the situation is. But should he be allowed to be principal for the $15,000 a month? So the school committee right now is having zero communication between the school committee and the superintendent. Not surprised. Just trying to make sure I don't miss anything. So yeah, it's just as a relative of the behavioral intervention coach who resigned or was fired due to transgender, still under criminal investigation by the Westerly Police Department, should not be principal of Westerly High School. Secondly, the transition is seriously flawed. Harbin departs April 6th. Replacing Jim Morano does not come on board as interim principal until May 3rd. Accommodation to fit Mr. Morano's personal schedule. Does the assistant principal suite run things during the 3-week gap, or does Westerly High School just go on autopilot? What is it, a Tesla? You got a Tesla going on over there? Mr. Harbin, if so, that's about $30,000 for 2 months' work. Nice gig. Should we bring Jim Spellman back? Let's bring Jim Spellman back. And I'm going to find this other video. I'm going to leave you with a local Westerly artist who shot a video. First, I thought this was interesting. Something that was going on a little while ago in the Charlotte school system that kind of reminded me of this situation here.
Been my whole life. It was not only something that I enjoyed, but it was something that helped me also physically and mentally.
Do you feel like what happened at Myers Park took tennis from you?
I think my perpetrator took tennis away from me. And I think the administration at Myers Park helped my perpetrator take tennis away from me.
3 days after the alleged attack, Evans says she told her mom, Kay Mays, about it. They filed a police report, and Mays emailed Myers Park principal Mark Bosco, asking to talk immediately. She says he didn't respond. Days later, Evans and Mays met with Tyson Jeffis, a Myers Park assistant principal.
The first meeting we had with him, he kind of started it out with, like, I just want you to know that because you were in the boys' bathroom, if you decide to go through with an investigation, you'll be the one that is suspended and the one that gets in trouble.
See that? If you go along with this, you'll be the one that gets in trouble. This is how it all starts. This is why girls do not even come forward. This is why they do not come forward, which is a shame. I don't think I ever put any videos in here. Okay. It's just a shame, this is why they don't want to come forward. But what y'all think, man? We'll be back. We'll be back again with some more. You know, again, we miss you, Big Chris, man. Shout out to you. Rest in peace, man. Crazy. Always in memory of Chris DePaulo. You know, somebody that I still feel like I could pick up the phone and give my man Chris a call. Sorry, Jim. You know, but I'm always gonna tell it like it is, man. Your stepson's a little friggin' weasel, and I don't think neither of you belong in the school department.
I love what Mikey does. Sometimes I'm like, yo, you over the edge, TMZ with it, but
the boy gonna do you something nasty.
I hate to say it, more times than not, he get the results he wants.
Right, and to be honest with you, I honestly don't think it's over. Honestly, I think exactly what this state needs. We've always needed a platform where we can call out the nonsense,
the repercussions,
and you know, give people the props that they deserve, and call out the people who are full of it. And honestly, I think
that is, if you haven't been over there. First person to call in right now at 401-322-9091. I'll give you 20.
So 46 degrees, 7:25 in the morning. Mike Gridiron Rebello is with us, but you don't hold on.
Have a good day, buddy.
All right,
God bless.
There we go.
Well, just want to let you know I'm a Boston Red Sox fan. I shouldn't tell her that I'm a New York Yankee fan. Now, and if you wear that costume, you'll get a $100 Visa gift card on top of them matching your down payment up to $2,000. Central Auto Group in Plainfield.
Can we lend me the down payment?
Well, if the down.
I'm just impressed with it. 29 degrees, 7:29 in the morning. Mike, if I know our schedule right, you've got 1 minute.
1 minute. Hey, that's all I need, right?
Feeling like a merry-go-round.
I'm going to give you a pair of tickets for the Block Island Ferry.
And things were going well over there at St. Caius, I assume. He's going to be over there at 11, and he might be making an appearance downtown here today, too. We also have pay rides.
Mark Rosenthal is at an undisclosed location for Look at Your Forecast. Then after that, we'll get back to Frank Prosnitz, Ken, and Mikey Rebello over there, because on the phone we have Ryan McCormick, the head coach for football, if I got that correct. Exactly what I was going to say. But he's over there at UMass Dartmouth. And Wilson, I'm sorry, I forgot Wilson. Wilson's also joining us as well. And we have sports coming up. Stay tuned. And an additional 15% off. I got to get going because I got to get up there.
Buying a freshman, sophomore mixed.
What the hell's wrong with people around here? My God.
Are you ready to move to North Carolina? Do you know how Chris feels about this?
No, but really, why?
Good morning, Westerly. This is Superintendent. Clear, just WQ.